It's great to see everybody. Lots of regulars to our Zoom programs, as well as some newcomers who are members of Igor's groupies who are here this evening. So we've got lots of Armenian representation, and we're delighted about that. I just want to point out a couple of things we've got coming up that you won't want to miss. On Tuesday, November 14th, next week, we have one of our regular speakers, our most popular speakers, Tom Broadhead, who's going to take us to the famous outdoor stamp market in Paris. Tom is this year's ATA Distinguished Topical Philatelist. He's second vice president of ATA. He's a professor emeritus of the University of Tennessee. Was one of the creators of our very popular one-page exhibit program, which is starting up in December. Most of his exhibits have to do with France, and he came across the stamp market and started collecting, and you're going to be amazed at what he has. And then on Thursday, not our usual day, Thursday, December 7th, again, 7:00 p.m., we have Todd Ganser, president of the Boston Philatelic Society, who has some wonderful ideas for stamp clubs, and all stamp clubs need ideas, right? Please help us spread the word. This is a program on how to energize your stamp club, how to modernize your club and make it more accessible and appealing. Great way to get started for 2024, improve your stamp club. Todd is very active in philately. He works in the information technology field, and of course, he's a topical collector. And now it's my pleasure to introduce our speaker, Igor Grigorian, born in Yerevan, Armenia. He's the president of the Armenian Philatelic Association. Some members here this evening, welcome. He's a member of the ATA board. He's been a stamp collector since his teen years and has some wonderful exhibits. In addition to collecting Armenia and related topics, he also collects church architecture, fencing, wine, and cognac. We're delighted to have Igor take us on a very easy, no travel involved trip to Armenia. Igor?
Thank you. Thank you, Dawn. It's a pleasure to be here and be able to present my native country to all of you who haven't been there. Thank you. So let's start the presentation. So let's travel to Armenia. It's a philatelic journey. And Rockwell Kent once said, if I were to be asked where on the planet Earth one can see the most incredible wonders, I would first of all say Armenia. Okay, so this is a part of Armenia, what is left out of the big country. And this is a Babylonian map of the 6th century, which will show Armenia as well here. So the next slide, maps of Armenia. At its greatest expansion in the 1st century BC, Armenia was between Black Sea, Caspian Sea, and Mediterranean Sea. Unfortunately, after many years of wars with Turks, with Arabs, with Mongols, there was nothing almost left. But then in 1918, the Treaty of Sevres Wilson decided to give Armenia these lands, but unfortunately this never happened. And so the next map on this will show, will show you what is left on Armenia. And it's like 1/10 of what it was supposed to be. So where is Armenia? I have been asked this question several times from different people. So Armenia is a landlocked country in the South Caucasus. It is bordered by Georgia, Azerbaijan to the northwest, northeast and southeast, Turkey, southwest, and Iran in the east. So how do you get there? There is only 3 ways for now. The best and safest way is to travel by air. Train is an option if you travel to Armenia through Georgia. There is now a bullet train connected Batumi, Tbilisi, and Yerevan. It's a very nice and very pleasant trip. I've done it before. I was fond of it. Car is another option, but only from Iran or Georgia. Armenia is under blockade from Azerbaijan and Turkey, so you cannot travel from or to these two countries. So our first stop would be in Yerevan, the modern capital of Armenia. You travel either by air and you arrive at the airport Zvartnots, or by railway, and it's Yerevan railway station on the right side. So before Yerevan, there were 11 capitals. I don't want to just name them all. It's a long story all by itself, but I could refer you to ARPA Journal, where all those 11 capitals were already explained and described, and I'm working on the 12th on Yerevan issue. So how old is Yerevan? Yerevan is 2,805 years old as of this year. And this is only the official date, but some scientists and archaeologists argue that in the place of Yerevan was a much earlier residence of historic people. So it's still being debated, but 2805 is the accepted date for the birth of Yerevan. So in the first row, you will see on the left, you will see excavated part of the Arinbert Hill, and the next step will be Astafyevskaya Street. On the second row, it's Yerevan railway station that you already have seen, and this is the Spendiarian Opera House, very interesting place. Davidov Sassoon is one of the national heroes from, I don't want to say fairy tales, but let's say legends. And this is his monument standing here. Below it, just a real city view, and on the right, you will see the Cascade Complex. And on the upper right part, you will see this monument to Tigran the Great, the king during which reign Armenia was at its greatest. I'm trying to get this out of here. Okay, got it. Okay, so what can you see in Yerevan? So first of all, you will want to walk in the center of the city. And the center of the city is the Abovian Street. The street starts right at the square. Now it is called Republican Square, but before it was Lenin Square, of course, because Lenin's statue was there. Thanks God it was removed. And there is a Philharmonic small hall next on that same street, Moscow movie theater on your right, and this is a general view of the Abovian Street, which is very nice. And there is a now is currently Grand Hotel, which was built probably in 1925 to 30s by architect Bunyatian. So Republican Square, you will see here the government buildings, and on the right upper part, you will see the hotel, which was called Armenia before, but now it's Marriott Hotel. So Marriott bought it and is doing it the same way. And this is on the postcard from 1978. You will see the same hotel, and on the top of it, it will say Armenia. On the left side, there is a postcard that was issued specifically for Armenian government. So whenever they wanted to respond to people's claims or complaints, they would send this postcard telling them what to do. So the Republican Square also is housing a museum of history of Armenia. That postal stationery was issued for the 2750th anniversary of Yerevan. And on the stamp below it, you will see a Museum of History of Armenia, which was established in 1919. And this are the interior, this is the interior of one of the halls. So there is on display an ancient statuette in the form of a bird. None of modern tools could even make a scratch on its surface. So it's really is a mystery of what metal was used or whatever the element was used to create this bird. There is also kept on display a model of the universe from 11th, 10th centuries BC, a silver cup, which was third millennium BC, and silver riton, 5th millennium BC. So it's really pretty old. So behind Museum of History, there is a protruding building of National Art Gallery. You can see the first floor on the left side. You will see the first floor, like the front is the building of the museum, and on top of it is raising the National Art Gallery. This is a letter that was mailed in 1981 from Leningrad to Lithuania. And this, on the right, you will see an official FDC devoted to the gallery. Just a few paintings, because I don't want to waste your time on describing every single painter and their works. So these are like examples of what is in the art gallery. There is a very interesting museum by Sergei Parajanov. He was a dissident and he was imprisoned several times. His history is like a wonderful story to read. And so in Armenia, they created a museum devoted to him. And this is the souvenir sheet with and without international brief mark and Veselin logo on here. And this is what you would imagine how he would be looking. He would present himself. He's very eccentric, very interesting person. So there is a Mother Armenia monument and military museum underneath it. So this is the Mother Armenia holding a sword in her hand. And the stamp below it is from joint Armenia-Egypt issue. So this particular MIDI sheet is very rare, very hard to come up with. Only 625 mini sheets were printed with the label in between the 4 stamps on each side. So the price, just to compare it, $16 for a regular without this, and $400 with the label in it. So the military museum also devoted to military personnel of Armenian descent. For example, USSR Marshals Bagramian, Babajianian, Kudyakov, and Admiral Isakov. There was a very like a joke in the Soviet times. We had a Navy admiral from a country that doesn't have even sea. So these are the military commanders that were from 89th Taman Division, 76 Alpine, 390th Division, 408th and 409th Division. So 1915 was the year when the Armenian genocide commenced. So to commemorate that particular date and event in Armenia, there is a special genocide memorial complex, and you will see it on the left in its full. And there is genocide memorial, Armenian Genocide Research Institute Museum. And this postcard in the middle was prepared on a paper produced from flowers left by visitors at the memorial. It's a very limited, it was printed in very limited quantities, and the signature on it is from the director of the Genocide Research Institute Museum, Hark Demoyan. And there was in 2015, to commemorate the centennial of the Armenian genocide, there was a meeting of International Association of Genocide Scholars in Yerevan. So they issued a special postcard for that occasion. On the bottom, you will see different labels, or you can call them Cinderellas, that shows the 50th anniversary, 60th anniversary, 75th, 70th, etc., etc. So cultural events in Armenia usually take place in two big buildings. One is Karen Demirchan Sports and Concert Complex, which you will see on your left with the stamp and the maximum card. And you will see Hrazdan Stadium. And on the bottom of it, you will see the memorial to Ararat 73 soccer team, who won both USSR Championship and USSR Soccer Cup in 1973. That's why it's called Ararat 73. So from Abavian Street, we should go towards Bagramian Avenue. There are several buildings of interest. First of all, it's Armenian National Academy of Sciences. And on the right side, you will see their specific stationery from that from the academy, canceled with the stamp of the academician Joseph Orbeli, who was the founder and the first president of the academy. And as you may guess, the avenue was named after USSR Marshal Bagramian. And below you will see the 1968 postal stationery and the bigger stamp issued already by Armenia for academician Orbeli. So on the right, no, on the left top part, you will see view of Bagramian Avenue. Left is the President's Palace, and the right is the National Assembly building. In 2010, the National Assembly chairman was Karen Demirchan, and the prime minister was Vazgen Sarkisyan. What happened in 1999? What happened on October 27? Demirchan Sarkisyan, along with 6 other assemblymen, were murdered during this session, which brought to a completely different government created in Armenia. And this is a very interesting error. If you look on your left, you will see the stamps of Karen Demirchan on the top part, and then all of a sudden on the second row, you will see the name of Vazgen Sarkisyan, which is a major mistake on the postal stamp. And here on the right, you will see an enlarged image of that. So Spendiarov Opera and Ballet Theater. It's a very interesting place to be, in Armenian culture in opera and ballet is a very interesting part. So this is the building itself, and Aram Khachaturian, most of people who I spoke with knew about him. And Armen Tigranian is another opera writer, which was at the beginning, well, who was at the source of the opera at the time of creating the opera house. On your right hand, you will see the Philharmonics Hall, and main people who ever uh, were there, like composers, Aram Khachaturian, national folk people, Gusan, Sheram, Jivani, Arno Babajanian, who was a very famous pop music writer, as well as a classical composer, and Ohan Durian, who was the conductor for the opera for many years, and Lucine Zakarian, who was a singer, and none of the main Armenian church ceremonies would go without her singing in there. So now let's talk about some spirits. Noi factory. In the beginning, it was called Wine and Vodka Factory. So it was located on the in the old Yerevan fortress, and here the old Yerevan fortress, and here is the location of the factory itself. So on the you will see here the display of Noi factory production. They take tours, so if you ever there with like physically, you have to go there. It's a very interesting place, and if they allow you to go into their cellars, you may see the wine from 200, 300-year-old times. So these three postcards were printed in Paris, circa 1930s. So this is the bottling shop, and this is grapes being loaded into the press, and this is the barrel storage at the factory. But the main, mostly Armenia is known for its brandy in the wine industry, I mean. That Ararat brandy factory, and this is how the factory looked. It was built on the spot of a Sardari palace. You can see the postcard with the palace itself, and then it's the building that was built in 1953. And if you look at these two stamps, you may notice that there is the upper one is the stamp as issued, and the lower one is missing a yellow color on here. Also pretty rare. And this is a postcard, I mean first day cover with the buildings of Ararat factory and Noi factory. And the building was Markarian, and he was the architect of the building. So since probably 1927, there was a special master of cognac who had created, if you look at the left, you will see his creations in 37, 39, 40s, 41, and etc. until 1967, when he created a 50-year-old cognac. And he was awarded the title of Knight of Tasting by French company, cognac maker. It is said that, and this is the factory's stationery, and there is a very interesting saying on the back of the cover. It is said that systematic use of Armenian cognac makes a woman more stately and beautiful, while a man becomes courageous and brave as a tiger. So that was how they advertised the cognac. Another very interesting place in Yerevan is Matena Daran, which is Mashtod's Institute of Ancient Manuscripts. This is the building itself, and this is a letter sent from Yerevan to Kansas in 1966. And chief architect who designed the building was Mark Grigorian. And this is a maximum card that created for the Second International Symposium of Armenian Art. So this is the building, how it stands today, and this is a portrait, like a stamp with the creator of the Armenian alphabet, Mashtod. This is the Armenian alphabet, and this is the building itself from 1959 postal stationery, and a couple of manuscripts are kept in the building. So Adoration of Magi by Vostan 1391, and another Adoration of Magi, Taurus Roslin 1268. Now, Erebony Historical and Archaeological Museum Reserve. And this is the stone that was found and which allowed to pinpoint the birth date of the Yerevan. And it says, by the greatness of the god Chaldi, Argishti, son of Menua, built this mighty stronghold and proclaimed Erebony for the glory of Biainili and to instill fear among the king's enemies. And those two postal stationaries, if you look at the left one, you will see how it was issued, and on the right there is a missing color on the envelope. This is the museum building, and this is a bronze figure that is attributed to the 7th century BC. And another, this postal stamp was issued for the 1980 Olympics in Moscow. So we took that. We like it. And this is the upper part of the building where they are doing the research there. So another bronze figure from 8th century BC. Now there is Blue Mosque, as Armenia was under Persian occupation for quite some time. There is an 18th century Shia mosque in Yerevan, Armenia. It was commissioned by Hossein Ali Khan, the Khan of the Yerevan Khanate. In 2017, there was a joint issue between Armenia and Iran, and the Blue Mosque itself was built in 1765. This is a postcard circa 1910s, which traveled from Tiflis, Georgia to France. Well, at 1910, Tiflis was part of the Russian Empire. So it's a very interesting postcard as well. So if you have enough time and you can spare a day, visit Gyumri. Gyumri is the second largest city in Armenia, and before it was called Gyumri before, then it was called Alexandropol, then it was called Kumairi, then it was back to Gyumri, but it's a very interesting place to be. And if you are able to talk to natives, you will be amazed at the humor that people in that city contain. So this is a Gyumri panorama, and it was announced like CIS cultural capital in 2013. Zitovtsan House, built in 1872, and museum was founded in 1984. Exposition showcases artifacts related to development of Gyumri between 1860 and 1930s. This was the stamp that was issued to show the ancient postal routes, and they always passed through Alexandropol. And this was the Alexandropol railroad station, and one of the churches in Gyumri, St. Jacob of Matzpin Church. Gyumri is located in active seismic zone. So 1926 earthquake was commemorated by this Cinderella stamp, and 1931 earthquake not by another Cinderella stamp. And if you look on this photo, it's a memorial to the victim of the earthquake. Armenia issued a stamp for the 10th anniversary of the earthquake, and another one for the 30th anniversary of earthquake. This 1988 earthquake USSR issued stamps were distributed all over, and they were collecting extra money for benefits of the people who suffered from the earthquake. Another thing to see there is Russian officers' cemetery. Gyumri was and is a military base for, at that time, Russian Empire, and now for the Russian Federation. But if you have time, take a ride in one-horse coach. It's a very beautiful ride all over the center of the city. On this stamp, you will see Gyumri residents in their native costumes in the 19th century. And this is one of the major cinema and theater actors who was born in Gyumri, Maher Makarchan. This is his stamp, and this is his memorial in Gyumri. This particular photo was taken by Fridtjof Nansen in 1925 when he was traveling through Armenia. And Catholicos of Seb I of Armenia, Yerevan's, Mamikonian's mother, and Prince Arshavi, who participated at the Avarai battle in 400s. So this is the monument devoted to them. So this is a map of Armenia. And if you pay attention, there are like 23 different sites that this map suggests you to visit. Unfortunately, this part is no longer available because it's already not Artsakh or Nagorno-Karabakh or Mountainous Karabakh. It now belongs to Azerbaijan. So let's travel west of Yerevan. We chose this route because 4 sites of UNESCO's World Cultural Heritage are located there. From Vagar-Shapat to Zvartnot, from Yerevan to Zvartnot to Vagar-Shapat is only 12.9 miles. And in 2000, a group of monuments was added to the UNESCO list, which included Echmiadzin Mother Cathedral and surrounding churches of St. Ripsime and St. Gayane, as well as ruins of Zvartnot's church. Let's stop at ruins of Zvartnot. It collapsed in the 10th century, and this is the floor plan of the cathedral, and this is the Toros Toromanyan architect who reconstructed Zvartnot's cathedral floor plan, and FDC on the left and the postal stationery on the right with the ruins of Zvartnot. So St. Ripsime Cathedral, 7th century. This is the general view of the cathedral. It was built in 618 AD. Maximum card showing St. Ripsime and maximum card showing resting place of St. Ripsime. Interesting, that's another postcard, I mean the stamp for the church and St. Ripsime floor plan. And there is a letter mailed in 1910 to Archimandrite Garrigan, prior of St. Ripsime Monastery. St. Gayane Church, constructed in 630, floor plan and the general view of the church on a first day cover, and the maximum card with the commemorative cancellation. Now we come to the Holy See of Saint Echmiadzin. It was 4th century. It's a spiritual center for all Armenians. General view of Mother Cathedral is showing on this souvenir sheet and on the first day cover below. Apostles Thaddeus and Bartholomew came to Armenia in the first half of the 1st century to preach Christianity. So this is the first Catholicos of Armenia, St. Gregory the Illuminator, and King Terdates the third actually, who adopted Christianity as a state religion in 301. This is a postcard mailed from Batum, Russia to France in 1912, and religious music was composed by Archimandrite Komitas as a part of the liturgy in Echmiadzin. And another letter from Harutun to his eminence Bishop Tirayer, mailed in 1917 from Stavropol, Russia to St. Echmiadzin. St. Echmiadzin is home to a great museum where you could see its historical treasures. Holy Lance, Arm of St. Thaddeus, Holy Cross of Chotakerans, Descent from the Cross, Vessel for the Schism, the Cauldron of Holy Christ, this souvenir sheet was devoted to the 250th anniversary of printing press in Echmiadzin. And there are a few Catholicoses that I wanted to show you. Here they are. And the last souvenir sheet shows Pope John Paul I and Pope Francis visiting Armenia, who met with Catholicos Kerrigan II. Let's take a next route to the east. To Garni, 1st century, and Gerard Monastery, 13th century. It's only 22.5 miles. This is the Garni temple that was devoted to Mithra, and these are the regular stamp, the overprinted stamp, and this will show you inverted overprints on the same stamps. This was a signed order to print the maximum card, but very interestingly, it didn't become a maxi card. It was created like a first day cover lately. Mr. Kurginian's catalog states that all imperfect stamps were printed on 1A plate to the left, but I found an example on 1B plate, and this is the only, so far, the only reported example of it. And this is the deluxe sheet for that. During a stamp exhibition in 1993, there was a coach dispatched from Yerevan to Garni and back from Garni to Yerevan, and these are the official first day covers that were canceled in Yerevan and Garni. This is on the right, you will see a very interesting cover, and the cachet is made on a papyrus. Garni was built from basalt, and basalt is the stone that is located just in the gorge of Garni, and this stamp represents the stone symphony, the basalt formation there. This is the maximum card with the view of Garni and postal stationery that was prepared in 1966. Let me show you a very interesting, this is a medal that is just was struck in Garnier while I was there, and I want to show you how it has been done. So I have a feeling this is the way they were striking coins back in the times when there were no real presses for making the coins. So another stop is Gerard Monastery, built in 12th, 13th centuries. The peculiarity of this particular monastery is that it was carved in the stone itself. In some cases, they went through the top of the rock and lowered it and dig it down until they created the special holes there. This is a picture postcard circa 1960, published by Kruger. And this is the general view of the monastery. And here the postcard printed by USSR in 1977. And this is a souvenir medal for the monastery. So let's take north route, and we will go to Lake Sevan, which is main depository of water in Armenia. Bill, do I have enough time yet? Or should I cut it short?
You're doing fine.
Thank you. So this is the Lake Sevan. And if you see, you will notice that it's semi-island and it's a peninsula which was supposed to be an island at some point of time, but the waters of Sevan just lowered. There are two different monasteries around the lake. One is on the peninsula itself, and the other one, and I'll show you, the other one is on the south part of the lake. Dilijan, it's a very pleasant reserve with the forests and everything. And there is a special, not a special, but there is a lake which is called Clear Lake because of the water that is so clear that you can see the bottom of the lake. And this is a letter, registered letter from Yerevan to Los Angeles, and this is the view of Dilijan Reserve. It was also a resort of a type. In 1920, there was a letter, registered letter from Tiflis to Dilijan, addressed to Atunter Gabrielian of the 3rd Brigade stationed in Dilijan. And there are old postal stationaries from 1957, all three of them. This is the road to Dilijan, general view of the resort, and the composer's house of creativity there. If you decide to stay overnight, you will enjoy boutique hotels, great food, beautiful music, from folk music to modern jazz. And look at this house. It was built like a Hobbit style, and this is one of the hotels there. The famous trio from the Soviet movie Mimino. Food, unbelievable tasty. Now, next after after Dilijan comes the Hahartsin Monastery, 1976 postal stationery, and this is an old poster card. It was recently restored with a grant from Emir of Sharjah, Sheikh Mohammed Al-Qasimi, and it's now it's a much more beautiful place, as you can see it now on this postcard. Another monastery, Goshavank. This is a Goshavank souvenir sheet and Goshavank maximum card. 1981 postal stationery, and the Mkhitar Ghosh monument, who was the scholar, writer, public figure, thinker, and priest. Another monastery there is are another two sites of UNESCO on their World Cultural Heritage List. Left is Sanahin and right is Ahbat. And recently mailed photo PC from Sanahin, Armenia to Los Angeles. This is the Sanahin monastery. And this is Sanahin on the left and Ahbat on the right. And this was issued in 2018 by China Post. It's a personalized postcard. So let's take a next route to the south, to Horvirab, Areni, and Noravan. Horvirab was constructed in 7th century and in the 17th century Church of Holy Mother of God. So why is it interesting? Before accepting Christianity as a state religion, there was a person, Gregory, son of Khosrov, who preached Christianity in Armenia. And when he was he didn't announce that he was Christian, because of that time the Christians were persecuted. So at some point of time, the king told him to bow to statue of goddess Anahit and just put flowers to the bottom of the monument. And he refused, saying he has only one God. And he was imprisoned in this pit in that monastery, and he spent there 13 years until the time when the king got sick, and his sister told him that the only person who can save him, it was Gregory, which he was later called Gregory the Illuminator. And king got well, and he adopted Christianity as a state religion. Now we come to Areni. It's the oldest full-fledged winery in the world. It was researched to be 6,100 years old. And if you see these are the caves with the evidence of wine production, and this is the cave general view. And also in that same cave were found 4th millennium BC matting on the left, and 4th millennium BC leather shoe, which are considered to be the very first examples found in the world. Noravan, it's a very beautiful church, and unfortunately there was no stamp for it, so we will have to be satisfied only with the postcard that postcard, and with the 1,000 dram Noravan Khachkar in the church silver coin, which was issued in 2011, and colored proof silver coin that was printed in stock in 2012. So next stop is Yerevan. Yerevan is another resort in Armenia, which is famous by it's called a mountain spa town, known for its hot springs and mineral water. It was considered one of the most popular destinations for medical tourism in the USSR. So if you look on the left, 1968 postal stationery with a view of Yerevan, then 1975 airmail postal stationery, and 1972 postal stationery with the drinking gallery, and 1977 postal stationery with another airmail postal stationery with another drinking gallery. These are the close-up views of the galleries. One of the 1962 postal stationery is very rare, and it's very difficult to find. 1974 airmail postal stationery, showing the gallery, drinking gallery. There were at least several sanatoriums in there, judging by sanatorium number 1, 1978 airmail postal stationery, or sanatorium number 3 by 1974 postal stationery. There were also healing baths and airmail 1973 airmail postal stationery, and the Hotel Jermuk 1980 airmail postal stationery. Jermuk is attractive for its fresh air, waterfall, artificial lakes, walking trails, the surrounding forests, and mineral water pools. Town has been redeveloped to become a modern center of tourism and health services. So you can see different views of the Jermuk surrounding areas. And Jermuk was also proclaimed the chess capital of Armenia, and several numerous chess international tournaments were scheduled in the town. So next stop is Sisian. It's a pretty long drive, 51 miles. Don't consider 50 miles too short of a drive, because the roads are not as they are in US, so it will take you quite some time to get there. So the most interesting thing in Sisian is the House of Bread. It's a museum of bread, and there are 2 different postal stationeries issued. In 1989, the stationery text in Armenian says Armenian SSR, but already in 1990, text in Armenian says also only Armenia, which is very surprising because in 1990 the USSR was still in place. Next stop will be our Tatev monastery. During the Middle Ages, the monastery was a great center of learning in Armenia, and its monks made various contributions in the fields of science, religion, and philosophy. Tatev monastery, 7th century BC, the stamp, the maximum card, and another stamp from Armenia-Slovenia joint issue in 2023. Postcard issued by the Armenian Post without indicia, so it's just a postcard, not a postal stationery. Perhaps best about monks' achievement speaks a pendulous stela erected in 893-895, which is 8.5 meter high, the most interesting and mysterious monument of the monastery. It is called Gavazan, and Gavazan column functioned as a kind of medieval seismograph, as it was able to provide early warnings about potential earthquake. It shakes or swings. It is also claimed that it could warn when the enemy cavalry was approaching. It has also had astronomical value. On August 11, at precisely 4 a.m., 3 stars, if you look at the picture on photo on the right, of the Orient belt rose vertically and formed a straight line right above the pillar. They seemed like a natural continuation of the pillar connecting the skies with the earth, recounts independent researcher Vazgen Gevorkian. There is also another attraction at Tatev Monastery. It's Wings of Tatev. It's the 5.7 kilometers or 3.5 miles reversible airway tramway, cableway between Halizor village and the Tatev Monastery. It is built in only one section and holds the record for the longest non-stop double-track cable car. It's a 12-minute ride. Maximum height is 320 meters, 30 passengers plus steward, 240 passengers in an hour, 10 meters per second, 4 sections, 2.7 kilometers, the longest one, Open 7 days a week in summer, closed on Mondays the rest of the year. Entered in the Guinness World of Records. Next stop is Goris. From Tatev to Goris is only 25-mile ride. Here houses have a status of apartment, lacking general entry and using neighboring houses' roofs as balconies. I think similar thing you can see in Brazil. Thus, the separated houses form an indissoluble whole, giving to city its most colorful district. This is a general view of Goris. It's a postcard. And on the east side of the town, it's a stone pyramids forest. And in 2018, Goris was announced as CIS Cultural Capital. A registered letter mailed from Goris to Armenian Labor Unit Council Department of Culture in 1929. The most interesting part of this cover is the description "secret" in the upper right corner. Although it's a secret, I would say it should be confidential, but hey, who knows how at that time they were dealing with secret information. And on the right photo, you will see Goris cave dwellings, which were inhabited by locals until the mid-20th century. Karaunj. It has several different names: Karaunj, Zoratz Karer, etc., etc. So it's a 7,500-year-old site. From Goris to Karaunj is only 3 miles. This is the general view of Karaunj. This is the maximum card that was prepared for that particular stamp. And it is claimed that small holes made in the stones makes this site unique and points to different positions in the night sky, which makes it the oldest known observatory. And on the left bottom side, you will see a stamp from Great Britain, and with the Stonehenge on it, and Karaunj predates Stonehenge by 4,500 years.
Igor, want to think about wrapping up if you can, so we have time. We have a few questions that we want to give.
Last slide. You were on time. So it is time to return to Yerevan. A 150-mile drive will bring you back to the capital of Armenia. And while in Yerevan, don't forget to visit Vernissage to take back home a piece of Armenia. It's an open-air exhibition and market for souvenirs, art, handmade jewelry, carpets. We didn't see many other sites in the country. Fortress of Akhtalat, Akadzor with its famous sports camp, Noratus Church, Ambert Fortress, stone monuments to Armenian alphabets, Harmosamang, Mount Daragats, Huracan Observatory. I can name and name and name all of it. So time to say goodbye, wishing you a safe trip home and looking forward to see you again.